Hey, John here. We have an excerpt today from a podcast appearance that I did with Sarah Smith on the Holistic Business podcast for Fit Pros. In this episode, or in this excerpt, I go deep into social media. I go deep into the 4 stages of it. And I hope it's going to help you understand how to better show up for yourself on social media in a way that works versus all of the ways that you think that you should do it because experts say that it has to be done this way, which is simply not true. So I hope that you do enjoy this excerpt. I hope that it helps. I hope that it gives you some direction that will help you tackle social media the right way and perhaps be a little bit less frustrated by it. Thanks for listening.
It's very hard to ignore social media rules, yet you have gone against the grain and been more successful than so many gurus out there teaching. So, and Instagram itself said, this is no longer a photo platform, it's video. Yet your whole vibe is like Twitter written posts, yeah, and some videos. So to me, yes.
There's almost no videos. Well, so I don't know. There's so many things I want to break down there. Number one is just a matter of like, what are you good at? What are you not good at? If you're good at something, you're going to do a better job. If you're not good at something, you're going to do a shit job. I'm really good at writing. I'm not good at video. So I'm going to write and not do video for no other reason than I'm going to do writing well. I'm going to do shit at video and people are going to do video better than me. That's just like everything works to a degree, whether something objectively works better than something else. What actually matters is how much I'm going to work at that and how good of a job that I'm going to do at that thing.
Yes.
And so I'm always going to do a better job writing. That having been said, I do think that there are advantages to video on platforms. You have to understand the feed nature or the discovery nature of every platform. And so Instagram is kind of interesting because it's a hybrid, right? It's a feed-based platform. You follow people and you see what they see in your feed. But it's also a discovery-based platform with the Explore page. TikTok, on the other side, is almost exclusively a discovery-based platform. And so how you create content is very, very different. So we're coming out with our podcast now, The Goodman Show. And what we're doing to promote the podcast is every podcast episode, I'm pulling out 8 to 10 clips from that episode that are 60 seconds or less. Those clips are then going to a video team who's editing them, and they're putting them on a separate Instagram account.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be putting like 4 or 5 clips a day on that Instagram account. Now, I can't do that on my main feed one. So I'm basically saying there is this Instagram account, which is called Goodman Show Clips, which has all of the reels, and its only job is to promote the podcast.
Got it. So
it's saying that account is optimizing the discovery nature of Instagram. TikTok's the same thing because it's pure discovery, right? My personal account, it's Coach Goodman, is optimizing what I do best, which is the writing. An account needs to be ostensibly about one thing. Yeah. And the best accounts ostensibly use and leverage one type of content for 2 reasons, I think. One is if you do one type of content over and over and over again, you're just going to get better at that type of content. And the type of people who like that type of content are going to find it. The other has to do with Instagram, though. Instagram is constantly trying to feed people in the Explorer, in the search, whatever it is, stuff that they like. Yes. Instagram needs to know what type of material your content produces. If you bounce back between different content types, i.e. sometimes writing, sometimes video, sometimes this model, sometimes that model, the system has no way of ever figuring out what your account is. As a result, it can never show that to somebody else.
Yes. But at what point did you really give a big FU to social media and Instagram when they're putting out all these updates and saying this is never going to work if you don't do X, Y, and Z? And you're like, no, I'm going to make it work. I'm doing it my way. That is leadership.
So here's the thing. I have a love-hate relationship with social media. I wrote a book called Vironomics that came out in 2016. And at that point, when I wrote that book, I had read every research paper that existed on social media, contagion theory, on computer-mediated communication, on digital networks. I read up on cognitive dissonance. I read up on narcissism, all of these themes that are prevalent now. And I wrote a book about it that was the #1 marketing book in the world for some time. And it was called Vironomics. It's still called Vironomics. And in that book, the entire argument is buttons change, humans don't. If you understand why humans use and connect with social networks, figuring out how the social network works is really easy. There's no secrets there. What you need to understand, the missing element, is why are people using these things? Why are people abusing their mental health? Why are people addicting themselves to these platforms, making their lives miserable, making themselves less present with the people they love, ignoring their real life communities, ignoring the world that exists within their fence, their community, their house, their family, so that they can try to impress people they don't know and don't give a shit about? Why are we doing these things, right? If you understand that, and that's what that book is about, I'll talk to you about that if you want, but if you understand that, it's irrelevant what the platform is, because the platforms are always going to change, right? MySpace to Periscope, to Snapchat, to Clubhouse, to Facebook Lives, to not Facebook, to TikTok, to what was the other, the preceding one to TikTok? I can't even remember what it is. This shit comes and goes every 2 years. Doesn't seem like it when you're in it.
Yeah.
But it's always going to come and go. What does not change are why the humans using it are using it. And I have a love-hate relationship, because I think for the most part, social media is a deep, dark pit of despair.
Yes.
I don't want to go anywhere near it. One of my major issues is that I have a really hard time creating content for a lot of other social media platforms because I refuse to consume it.
Oh, I'm like that with TikTok. I just won't go on TikTok. I know I should, but I just can't.
I refuse to consume it. And so how can I possibly pretend that I'll be able to create content better than somebody who grew up with TikTok, who's on it all day, every single day? How can I possibly pretend to use that better than them? I can't. I mean, there's just no way. They're going to kick my butt at it. So there is a TikTok account in my name. My team posts to it. I've never downloaded it or logged in. I've only seen it once because an old media manager of mine was like, "Hey, you're going viral on TikTok." I'm like, "Oh, really?" She's like, "Yeah, this video." I'm like, "That's a stupid video." But like, that was the one that went viral, right? And so all of this to say, I think you need to be very, very careful with social media. I think also you need to figure out where you fit in and like be okay with that. But more than anything else, if you understand that the main reason why anybody uses social media is they use it as an act of selective self-representation. They use it because they want to feel like they appear a certain way to people that they don't know that exist in a community that they exist within. We're all basically in high school trying to climb the social ladder. We're all trying to improve our perceived social status within a community that we exist within. Now, I say perceived, and that's a really interesting nuance, because Sarah, it's completely irrelevant how smart you think that I am to my self-worth. What matters to my self-worth is how smart I think that you think that I am. Whether you actually think I'm smart doesn't matter. What matters is whether I think that you think that I'm smart.
Self-perception, yeah.
And so what people do when they share material online is they share things because they feel like it makes them appear, I call it the IIIAF drug, intelligent, interesting, intellectual, attractive, or funny. If you can create content that makes somebody else feel like they appear one of those ways by sharing your content as an articulation of their own thoughts, your content's going to fly. Now, if you can do that very specifically towards an ideal network because you understand that industry or that network or those people. In my example, what do personal trainers or fitness enthusiasts, what do they wish other people know about them that they think other people don't get? All you got to do is just say that, and it will fly.
And you certainly do that, because when I found your page first, I actually nearly cried, and that's the truth, because I was 22 years a personal trainer, and you put into words, very few words, and summed up even client experiences similar enough that I could relate to, that I just felt so seen and so heard and so understood. I just kept coming back for more. And then so many of my followers and clients were sharing your stuff every day, and Andrew Coates, who did a similar message about status. And that's where I suppose some fit pros who might be on a path a bit behind you will blame the externals and imposter syndrome and be so petrified to make any bold moves on social media for fear that it just won't work, or no one
shouldn't too.
You know,
and you also, like, there's this misconception that you use social media to enable you the ability to do shit. The reality of it is you got to do shit first, and then you use social media to talk about the shit that you do. Like social media is a tool. Put it this way. You got to do dope shit and talk about it in a dope way. Like you can't talk about stuff on social media if you've never done anything worth noting. You can't make notable content if you've never done anything that's notable. And so you kind of have to like do stuff in real life first.
Yeah.
And there are outliers of this, but fewer than you think. If you consider people that you actually respect, not just like entertainers who like make funny videos, because the reality of it is entertainers who make funny videos have no real value. The only thing that they can sell is advertisements and low cost stuff on fear and emotion.
Yes.
And they're one and gone. They're not going to be around for a long time. Some of them might become like celebrities and go and do acting and stuff like that, but they're like tiny outliers, right? Like if you're going to try to understand something in a way that you might be able to make use of it, you can't look at the outliers. You have to look at repeatable successes and pull out any foundational principles of that. And if you look at that, people who create content, let's say, and you look at them and you actually respect them, often in almost every case, it's because they've actually done something notable for a long time in the real world first. And that reflects in their content. And also when you start to go deeper with them, you're like, yo, there's something else there. There's something deeper there. So, I mean, I can tell you, if you want, you can tell me where you want to take this conversation, but I can tell you like what I think the 4 stages of content production should be.
Yes, I'd love you to elaborate on that, because I have saved that post and read it so many times about the 3 that you have on Instagram. What an amazing, valuable post that you did. I'd love you to break that down. Yeah.
So, okay. So I think there's 4 stages to content production. There's for yourself, for your clients, for your industry, and then for the world. So stage 1 for yourself, stage 2 for your clients, stage 3 for your industry, stage 4 for the world. When you are starting anything you're doing, right? This fitness design. When you're starting, the best way to learn is to teach. And so as you're studying, as you're learning, I believe it's very, very important to actually build a blog or a social media account or something, and you cannot care if anybody else sees it. The only reason you have it is because you will learn exponentially faster if you force yourself to turn around and teach that material to others. Now, those others don't need to be there. So I had a blog when I was a beginning personal trainer called championlifestyle.blogspot.com. And it was horrible. But I wrote articles about stuff I was learning. I'd be reading all the books on periodization, on whatever, right? And I write articles on that. I had 1 comment in 3 years. It was from my mom. Right? Nobody read it.
Love it.
And I was probably pissed off at the time that nobody was reading it, right? But looking back, that was an important part, right? And then because now you're learning faster and better, and you're also learning in a way that you can communicate what you're learning to other people. you will start to do a better job with your clients, with your customers. And then stage 2 is you start creating content for your clients. Because at this point, you have nothing unique to say, and you don't have a unique way to say it because you haven't done any dope shit yet.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people who you're working with that will be happy getting the same message they can get anywhere else from you.
Mm-hmm.
So now's when you start to write. So I started then a blog, jonathangoodman.ca, where I gave an award to my clients every month. And then I wrote a profile about my client. I called it the half badge, the hard as fuck badge.
Genius.
And I gave it to one client every month and I wrote about them. But then every time that a client would ask me a question, I'd write the answer to that question as a blog post and I'd send it to all my clients. And it was for my clients. But some of those articles started to go viral because they were questions other people were asking, like does fruit make me fat?
Yeah.
And so I wrote an article about that. And they started to go viral because my clients would send them to other people and other people and other people and stuff like that. And so, so step number 2 is you write for your clients. Mm-hmm. Right? That'll make you more successful with your clients as you do a better job there. Very, very cool. Your clients might send it around. Now, you have to understand that publishers, that people in charge of information networks, whether it's like traditional gatekeepers or whether it's just like influencers who have more, their entire job is finding good people coming up in the game to support. Like that's what they want to find. So because these articles started to get notable, I started getting featured. So Men's Health included me in a couple of their books. I started writing for Schwarzenegger's blog. Livestrong called me one of the, whatever it was, 24 best trainers you've never heard of, which was funny because nobody had ever seen me train a client. Whole nother conversation of why there's so much bullshit out there. But all of this stuff started to happen where I was writing for my clients and then my industry started to take notice. Mm-hmm. Step 3 now is I started building now for my industry. So that's when I started the Personal Trainer Development Center blog. So I started writing for other trainers because at this point I had had success with my clients. I had a success locally. Other trainers started asking me about it. So I started writing about what I was doing with my clients and started blog and then started to host summits. And so I hosted like little summits at the club that I worked at. And I invited some of my friends who were other people like me from outside of town to come speak. And we do it. I think I did 5 of them in the group exercise room.
Oh, cool. Yes. And
we'd have, 100 people come out, people who were starting to be a part of this network. And I got them filmed and I turned them into a DVD that we sold and whatever it was. And now I'm starting to build networks in my industry. And so then I started to figure out the problems my industry had and started to build businesses to solve the problems for my industry. Step 3. Now I'm finally in step 4. I'm 17 years into my career at this point. Mm-hmm. Very important note. 17 years into my industry. I think now finally I am just bridging into the point where I've done enough that I think people who I don't know might be interested in learning about it. 17 years in, because at that point in step 3, I'm building businesses, I'm trying out different things, I'm having some successes, I'm having some losses, whatever it is. And now I'm in step 4, and now I'm writing about it. Now I'm publishing about it. Right now I'm trying to grow a brand in the world. This is a stepwise process. Yes. The reason why nobody's listening to you if you're new to the industry is because there's no reason for them to, because you don't have any unique experiences yet. And that might sound harsh, but it's true.
It's true.
And so you got to build that up as you go. And that doesn't mean you can't grow a business. You can grow a phenomenal business. Just don't try to impress the internet yet.